Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 219, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince, speaking in a very legato manner.
Your dulcet tones?
My tones are not dull, nor are they set. I don't even know what that means.
I guess I'm more staccato and you're legato. But that's okay. That's okay. But,
That's ironic, because I would have thought that, like, Italian and Spanish are, like, nothing but legato.
I think it's all Italian, actually, when it comes to,
well, the musical
music,
terms, yeah.
Musical terms,
yeah.
Piano,
that is true.
Piano forte and all that.
Crescendo,
but anyway,
diminuendo.
Yeah, no, it's all Italian. So, it's all Italian. It always was.
It always has been.
Always has been.
My favorite composer is Beethoven, the well-known Italian.
It's kind of funny because like most of them are like from Vienna, and like a lot of them are like Germanic. But anyway, we have another fantastic episode here, continuing on our quest to review all of the Castlevania timeline, Lotus, or at least all the Castlevania.
Nobody can keep track of the Castlevania timeline. We can talk about the games, though.
It's been retconned a billion times.
Yeah, Iga himself was like, I should never have put dates on these games. Oh, what game happened first? Like, just play the fucking game and have fun, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is, we've been going over steadily like the Castlevania series from its inception. So we left the pretty much a large era. The last official Castlevania Metroidvania had been made, or at least 2D one in its original format from Japan, from Koji Igarashi. So that was the final DS game, Order of Ecclesia, which is one of my favorites. Love that game. But there still are a bunch of spin-offs that he was involved in, and then we have the Mercury Steam era after that. So I did want to go over some of these because some of them are quite interesting. So the next game released, and this was in 2009, was Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth, which was a WiiWare title, and Koji Igarashi was involved in this. He was the producer. This is a fantastic game. I really love this.
This is interesting because you've talked about the Rebirth games before, like Gradius Rebirth, Contra Rebirth. But what sets Castlevania Rebirth aside from those is that it's not a completely original title. Isn't it effectively a remake of one of the Game Boy games?
Yeah, it's a remake of the original Game Boy game, but I mean, it plays nothing like it as a
it would, yeah.
Yeah, it is a completely different experience.
You don't lack the technology for stairs and rely on ropes anymore, I would imagine.
Yeah, so this plays more like an older Castlevania game, actually kind of in the line of more like the original Castlevania for the NES. It doesn't have branching paths like Castlevania 3 and Dracula X do. It is kind of a straightforward game, but it's kind of cool to see them go back and explore that original aesthetic and feel, with the more arcadey gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, and if this is effectively a remake of Castlevania Game Boy #1, does that mean that you're still Simon Belmont's son?
No, you're Christopher Belmont, who is an ancestor of Simon.
It's the other way.
Yeah, he's an ancestor. I think he's older in the timeline, and always has been. And he has a son, Saleyu, who he's trying to rescue in that one, I think.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a really good, solid title. It is not the best Rebirth title that will absolutely go to the Contra game every time, but I actually really like this game. I actually think the Contra Rebirth might be one of it might be in my top 2 Contra games. Like it
Contra
might
Rebirth
even be
is
my
killer.
favorite.
Yeah.
It might even be my favorite at this point.
When
But
the llama robots start attacking you.
that's just too good. It has like that girl that you hit. You have the option to hit in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game on the little skateboard, like
Yeah.
zooming by in the background. It's hilarious. It is it is not only a tribute to the Contra series, but also like Konami games in general. It's so good. But
Yeah, I did forget that. Turtles was a
yeah,
Konami title. Yeah.
yeah. Castlevania, The Adventure Rebirth is a fantastic game. It's really a big shame that it is locked to WiiWare and also completely enabled to be purchased right now. You can only pirate it if you don't own it. There was no physical copy of this ever made, and they shut down the WiiWare store even for Wii U owners. So it's a big shame that this game is basically lost to time. It does not deserve it. All 3 of the Rebirth games are really well made. Like in the 16-bit style, as you would say, it ultimately has better. It runs better than a 16-bit game
Yeah,
ever
it's
would.
not a 16-bit game. Like, it doesn't even really look like one, but it looks like it's trying to look like one, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
and it's pixel art in an era where few games used it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a brand new game with brand new assets and stuff like that. So really good looking and good playing game. I really enjoyed this title. And this is the last single player Castlevania game like that Koji Igarashi would work on. Everything after this is either like a spin-off or something else. So, but he went off on a high note. It is a great game. It's just very understated. It's made by M2, who I can't talk well enough of. It's just such a great company. Moving on. So the game after that, Lotus. Do you know what came after this? This is gonna
Okay,
be
so this is
obscure.
post DS, and this is
Yes.
post PSP, I assume.
Yes.
So that means, unless it's going to be another mobile title or something, we finally hit
That is
PS3.
exactly right.
Okay.
So there was a game that was very similar to like Puyo Puyo, made called Castlevania Puzzle
Huh.
Encore of the Night, featuring the aesthetics and characters from Castlevania Symphony of the Night for the iOS platform and Windows Phone. And Windows Phone, you can't forget about Windows Phone.
Oh yeah,
It
God,
wasn't
God
even put on
forbid.
Android, so I never even had a chance here. And this is a game that's been delisted, but people tended to like it. But it's a match-3 puzzle game. They're a dime a dozen on mobile. So it really didn't bring anything other than the aesthetics of something you liked to the genre. Um, Moving on from that, I think this is the last Koji Igarashi game. It is. Do you know what the last one is?
Oof. Well, this is pre Lords of Shadow. So,
Sure.
wait. Was this the thing
Pre
that I had
Mercury Steam.
suggested last time? That like
Yes.
4-player game that people didn't really like.
That's exactly right. It's Harmony of Despair. Actually,
Yes.
the current disposition on this game is that it's a lot of fun.
Okay, I
So
guess it was the Zelda 2 of its time. Like, this
yeah,
isn't what I thought it would be, so I don't like it.
it took a bunch of time for people to warm up to it. So it is very different. It is a 2D Castlevania game that kind of is sort of like almost like it kind of feels like you're playing Smash Brothers, even though you're not fighting each other in it. Like you have this big 2D connected Metroidvania map with these tiny characters running around it, and you have to complete tasks with each other. And everybody plays like different characters from throughout all of Castlevania history. Some people equate the boss battles similar to maybe like a Monster Hunter kind of thing because you have to team up and perform different functions during that kind of time. Like support roles and things like that. But it is ultimately a 2D HD multiplayer game that had a lot of co-op stuff having to do it. And the game's playable characters had Alucard, Soma Cruz, who we talked about from the Dawn of Sorrow game, and Aria of Sorrow, Jonathan Morris from Bloodlines, or no, that one's from Portrait of Ruin. I'm sorry, Jonathan. It's John Morris that's from Bloodlines. How could I ever forget?
Yeah, obviously.
Shanoa from Order of Ecclesia, and Charlotte from Portrait of Ruin. And let me see here. There were palette swaps as well, and then there was a whole bunch of DLC that included extra levels. And let me see here. One of the levels had Legion in it, who was a stage
hello.
boss. Beelzebub was one of them.
Oh, Beelzebub from Ghouls and Ghosts, of course.
No, Beelzebub from Symphony of the Night.
Nani?
And
Beelzebub from Symphony of the Night ripped off of Ghouls and Ghosts? Ghouls and Ghosts ripped off of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yoko Belnades from the Dawn of Sorrow game, I think. Julius Belmont was in it. Maria Renard from Dracula X. Richter Belmont. 8-Bit Simon Belmont. I think that was
really?
From Castlevania 1. And also the main character from Getsu Fumiden. Do you know what Getsu Fumiden is?
Maybe, but I don't know what that means. Let's find out.
Getsu Fumiden was a Japan-only Famicom game that used the same physics and basically game engine as the original Ninja Turtles game.
Oh, and maybe I don't know this then.
It was a much better game, and it was demon themed. It was ancient Japan demon themed, so it kind of has some crossover.
Oh wait, was this the guy? I don't know if I'm remembering this right, but was this the guy with the traditional I forgot what his name was, but he wielded a katana.
Yes.
Because I think this guy might have shown up. I think the game might have finally been ported to Virtual Consoles, that old game.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking the correct character, and he's shown up as an alternate playable character in a few games, and it's do you recognize this guy?
Yeah. I mean, he's a cult main character, and it's one of those Famicom games that I would recommend to people if you were starting to import Famicom titles. It's definitely a good game to play. It certainly has better gameplay than its predecessor, the original Ninja Turtles game, which has a whole bunch of problems. But
oh no, you know what? No, this was not the game I was thinking of. I was thinking of a different game. I don't recognize this guy.
Yeah, this guy's kind of like a samurai. He's pretty cool. He shows up in a lot of other things. He's in Konami YY World, which is a game where a whole bunch of Konami games are all merged together. And
this guy looks pretty badass, but the guy I was thinking of was from a top-down style.
You're probably thinking of that Haunted Mansion, the one made by Nintendo. I forget what that was.
Whatever it was also Japan only.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a cool game. So if you're gonna go back to this, it is backwards compatible on the Xbox One for the 360 version. But honestly, if you still have a PS3 lying around, I still think the PS3 version is the way to go, and I'll tell you why. The PS3 version has a local multiplayer mode, whereas the 360 one does not have that. It is multiplayer only online, which it still does work. Because it is one of those backwards compatible titles, so I'm sure nobody's playing it. But the PS3 one you can play with a friend, at least on the couch later on. So, but yeah, this was actually a pretty fun game if you got somebody to play it with you. So definitely recommend it. But it was one of those things where people were really hoping an HD Metroidvania would be made, a beautiful 2D sprite 1080p game would be made, But because Castlevania games have been relegated to portable systems for so long, you had all those GBA games and the DS games, and while they
Yep.
were great, they weren't on the primary systems. It is a big shame. They were really really good games, and it would have been way better if they were on a disc. And people were really hoping that someday they would get that Symphony of the Night kind of experience on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and this is what they got. This was they got a bad port of Castlevania Symphony of the Night at the time, and this odd multiplayer game. It just was not what people wanted at the time. In retrospect, it's cool. It's a neat game, but it wasn't what people wanted. People wanted, another a successor to Symphony of the Night. It was one of the best games of that generation. And, fortunately, we never got it during that time period. We do have it now. Stand by for that. At a later time, but we this was the send off that we got for Koji Igarashi, and then he left Konami. He was relegated to making like a lot of other goofy stuff that he didn't want to be making. So it was kind of a shame. From this point on, we had to wait, for a Spanish company to take on the reins for Castlevania. This was a company called Mercury Steam, who was working on an unrelated horror game. I forget what it was called. Trying to remember what the original name of Castlevania Lords of Shadow was called. Do you remember this?
No, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, it originally started off as a non-Castlevania game, and I forget what it was called. But anyway, eventually this game was picked up by Konami, and actually,
it was originally announced as just Lords of Shadow, apparently.
okay.
It wasn't Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Gotcha. And Kojima Productions helped with the finalizing of things. So,
Although I should say it was announced as that, so that might
Hmm.
not have been what it was going to be before it became a Castlevania game.
There you go. So Hideo Kojima did take the reins, in a production capacity, to the next Castlevania game. And this was once again another 3D game. This was an attempt to make Castlevania a mainstream franchise amongst the mainstream gaming audience. So it took a lot of cues from other action games at the time. So you had some Devil May Cry inspiration, as well as a lot of Shadow of the Colossus kind of inspired moments, and God of War inspired moments. A lot of God of War inspired moments, in fact, in this title. A lot of people complained about it because it was kind of derivative. Castlevania had been known for a niche that it invented and popularized. And with the Metroidvania, a Metroid like game, but with RPG mechanics and things like that was something that it was unique to that series. But overall, if you look back at this game, it has a lot in common with a lot of the better action titles of this era, and I
Yeah.
actually think that it's a pretty good game. I mean, I didn't beat this one. I always got distracted, but it wasn't a bad game. I did not have a bad experience with this, and it honestly is probably the I don't think there's much debate here. It's the best, objectively best 3D game in the series. It does not have an open-ended gameplay. It has a level-based gameplay, but it's a good game. You play as Gabriel Belmont in this one in a revised timeline. It's like a reboot, and they attempted to get mainstream gamers into this, but I think that it was their approach in trying to make it more like other games and less like having its own style kind of hurt it in the end. which kind of stinks because there are plenty of other games that are derivative of other games that are still great, and people tend to like them. It's just that I think it might have cannibalized the audience that cared about it. I think that was more the issue. Like the Castlevania fans did not want it, and the mainstream gaming audience that it was trying to attract couldn't care less about it.
Yeah, they're like,
So
oh, you're copying all this stuff that I've already played. Thank you.
yeah, exactly. So
Like,
but
there's like a straight up Shadow of the Colossus segment in there, and it's like, what are you
yeah,
doing?
this is worth your time though. I think it was a fun game. If you're gonna go back to one of the 3D ones, this is your first stop. In terms of like if you want to play something that was successful and did a good job. And it also has an ending which I'm going to spoil because I have to in order to talk about the sequel. But it had a big shock twisting ending where you find out that Gabriel Belmont actually becomes Dracula. Did you know about that?
No, but that's absurd.
Yeah. And so a lot of people were like, "Oh, Kojima got his grubby little hands on this one."
Nah,
Yeah.
you would know if Kojima got his grubby little hands on this one if there was like some gratuitous scene of like staring at a woman's boobs, or if there's like some heavily meta thing, like a meta reveal. You should stop playing the game now. Turn the game system off.
When I heard that he originally wanted Big Boss to have like boobs that swung around with that like waving snake on it, like while she was shooting a gun,
I've never heard that, but that is not even slightly surprising.
and
Like, I believe that even if you're lying to me right now, like, I believe you immediately.
his coworkers were like, sir, no. Like it's just like with all due respect, no. Like just straight up vetoed him on it. Which is a wise move.
Well, fine, fuck you guys. When I make Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm gonna make Quiet constantly, basically in her underwear. How do you like me now?
And for a good reason. You wait
A,
until
a,
you hear
a
about
good
it.
reason that directly contradicts the way the end dresses, even though it's the same reason. Nobody wants to see a naked old guy. Whatever.
So moving on for that, Mercury Steam did a 3DS title called Castlevania: Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. So this game, the Lords of Shadow game was actually a big enough of a hit to continue on with the rest of the series. So thankfully,
Yeah, and I think it later got ported to the PS3 as well too.
yeah, this one did later get ported to the Xbox 360, the PS3, and Windows. You could still buy it on Steam. But this is their attempt to do the Metroidvania aspect of it, but with their timeline. So this one played a lot more like a Metroidvania title. As earlier in the series, uh, you play as Gabriel in kind of like a prelude, prequel kind of situation, but then you play as Trevor Belmont, his son in this, and then Simon Belmont after that, who's Trevor's son in this timeline, and then later you play as Alucard. I think that's the big surprise in that game. So the general consensus on this game is that it is probably the worst Castlevania Metroidvania. It is kind of lifeless, and that's a big shame because what made the Igavania games so good is that they had just so much character. They had like all the wacky enemies, the all kinds of references to literature, like just all kinds of cool things going on in the background, all kinds of cool things that you could unlock that really didn't have anything to do with anything other than that it was cool. All kinds of things that you could seek out, all kinds of secrets. That's what made those games so much fun. It was like a playground. There were incredibly broken techniques in that game on purpose, like because it was fun. If you were able to earn them, and this one doesn't have any of that. It just has like straight up rooms that you go to, and even the map design isn't very compelling, and the boss design isn't very compelling, and it's a big shame. This was the last 2D official Castlevania Metroidvania game as a result. And when it later got ported to other consoles, it didn't really make a big splash. I bought it because I love Castlevania, but I never played any amount of time on it because I know it's not considered to be very good. And that's a big shame. And Mercury Steam actually went on after this to make the Metroid 2 remake, which was quite a bit better than this title, which is actually kind of funny. They are officially the only developer to actually make Metroid and Castlevania.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's pretty neat, but the big problem with that game is it was overshadowed by a fan project called AM2R. Another
Yeah, it
Metroid
came out
remake.
shortly after AM2R, and a lot of people consider AM2R to be better.
AM2R is one of the best Metroid games, and amongst giants, Metroid. Some Metroid games are some of the best games ever made. Super Metroid and the Metroid Prime games are in a lot of people's top best games of all time.
Yeah, Prime was better than it had any right to be.
They're great games, and AM2R is right along there with them. It's that good, and their Mercury Steam's remake is pretty good.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It's quite good, but it's not that good. And I mean, you could just look at it as like I have two remakes. That's great. But
yeah.
Playing one after the other, one is clearly outclasses the other one. And there is one particular boss in the Mercury Steam one that is a lot of fun, the mining boss. But I really like what they did with there. But anyway, Mercury Steam then went on to one final Castlevania game, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. And the reason why I spoiled you on that last one is the entire premise of this game is that you are Gabriel as Dracula in this game. So I have to talk about that. I mean, this is the first game where you play as Dracula ever in the Castlevania series. So that's pretty interesting, and a cool concept. But this game has mixed reviews. It's even more so mixed than the previous one. I have never played this one, so I reserve judgment on it because some people say it's good, and some people just kind of. Most of the people that talk about it as if like they never played it. So I think that's the big issue with it is that I don't think enough people gave this last one a chance. And it kind of flopped as a result. It has a major DLC campaign that does have an Alucard campaign, which is supposed to be excellent for anybody who bothered to buy it and play it along with the rest of the game. So, and this was the final official Castlevania game for us.
Yeah, we've made it.
We have made it. And we've gone over pretty much all of the spin-offs. We've hit them all. I mean, they're cameo appearances and things like Odomadius and things like that. But
sure.
By and large,
we didn't talk about the Super Smash Brothers game though.
Oh no, yeah, come on. Simon and Richter are now in Smash Brothers.
And in their own way, so is Dracula and Alucard.
Oh yeah, because they're assist trophies, aren't they?
Well, Dracula is like a boss.
Okay.
No, Dracula is like a kind of boss in like the single player campaign, but Alucard is an assist trophy. And gotcha. I haven't seen this for myself, but I read that if you use his assist trophy on the Wii training level, where it has the big mirror in the background, his reflection will not show up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love little touches really like cool. that.
Also, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Lords of Shadow 2 also implies that, I guess that implies that, what is it? Trevor and Alucard would then be siblings.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it was implied in an earlier game we talked about, Castlevania Legends, where it's implied that Alucard is Trevor's father in that version of the timeline, but they're half siblings in this version.
So does that mean there's some sort of vampire alternate father named Rovert? Oh no, beware.
You mean Ralph backwards? Flap.
That's true, Ralph
Flar.
backward.
Flar.
Like, well, Japanese, like Ralph, so like
Rafu.
Fuar.
But I guess the only other thing to kind of mention is that Koji Igarashi, took his bat and ball and went and played somewhere else, and
And
hooked up.
released one of the best Castlevania games he's ever made that's not called Castlevania.
Yeah, so I did imply that we never got the HD Metroidvania Castlevania game that we deserved, the follow up to Symphony of the Night, until he was able to escape.
Yeah, we got Ritual of the Night.
Castlevania, and we got a Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is honestly one of the best games I've ever played. It's really
and we got not NES Castlevania and not NES Castlevania. Well, a second one. Not
so we got
2.
Curse of the Moon, which it was originally intended as just like a backer reward, I think, because these were kickstarted games.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be released anyway, but yes, it was a backer reward, like the code for it.
Yeah, so Curse of the Moon was, and this was made by Inti Creates with Koji Igarashi as producer. Curse of the Moon was basically in the style of Castlevania 3. We finally got an 8-bit style game. It's not actually 8-bit, but kind of like that.
It's like Shovel Knight. It's very much in the style of.
It has limited colors, but doesn't have the flickering of an NES. It's in HD.
It's like any limitations are intentional. Like it's like what NES wished it could have been.
Exactly. And that is an excellent title. It is an excellent emulation of the style of Castlevania 3, which is a great thing to emulate. I mean, Castlevania 3 is one of the best games in the series, and you can switch among all of your side characters in that game too. So you start off as the samurai Sengetsu character, who David Hayter of Metal Gear fame voices in the proper game, and you initially play as him, but then you get the main character of Ritual of the Night later on, who's the whip user. Her name is what is her name? Oh God, Miriam. I'm sorry. And then you also get a mage-like character, and you also get a character who can very similar to Alucard in Castlevania 3. You can turn into a bat and move around. So that's a great game, and that recently got its own sequel. The spin-off game got its own sequel, and it was well received as well, with more switching and great big bosses. The boss design in these games are top notch. Aren't they a lot of fun?
From I've only seen what you have shown me,
boss.
But yes,
yeah, the train boss, and then we got to the ice level, didn't we?
Like the water, yeah.
That's a cool boss too. They are difficult like the old games, but not as difficult as those games used to be. But it has the appearance of it without being ridiculous. But Bloodstained itself, Ritual of the Night, the actual main game, is just so much fun. It is a great send-off to his previous Metroidvania titles. It's just so many cool little details in that game. Lots of hidden areas that you could totally miss. There are several endings to the game. There are all kinds of things to collect. You collect these crystals in the game that give you all kinds of abilities. Every single enemy in the game has their own one that you need to collect, which is really
that's very much like the GBA game.
Yeah, but
what was it in the GBA game? Like the aura or the soul or something?
Yeah, the souls. And but in this one, it just because of the way that it's done, it just feels a lot more meaningful. Like the bonuses that you get from these are much more meaningful, and There are all kinds of secret bosses in the game that are really difficult. He's even the Koji Igarashi is actually in the game as a boss character, and you fight as him. There's also there's also a character named Orlok. What's his name in it? I think it's just called. His name's OG. I think in the game it's like Orlok something
It
or
makes
other.
sense, yeah. I
But
think that's a nod to the silent movie Nosferatu.
exactly.
Because you
But
couldn't use Count Dracula, so
but
Count Orlok.
he is obviously, very obviously voiced by the voice actor of Alucard, and they even put like the echo filter on it on
That's
his
great.
voice to make him sound like the terrible recording session that they have.
That's
with
just
him.
what his voice sounds like.
Yeah. He's the only character that has that too. It's
So
like
like
attention
yeah,
to
so like
detail.
that wasn't a recording thing. Just his voice sounds like weird echo.
Yeah,
That's like the Mitch
so
Hedberg
good.
stand-up joke. Like, what if all of the pictures taken of Bigfoot actually were accurate, and Bigfoot himself is just blurry?
That's hilarious. But yeah, he is one of the coolest secret fights in the game too, because you have to piss him off in order to fight him. You have to take his
So
book.
just shit on the alpha presentation of the game.
Well,
I will prove them wrong.
what's funny is he is one of the shopkeepers in the game, and he lends you books that give you better abilities. So like he's a nice character. He's an ally.
Oh, so is he like the librarian
Yeah,
in Symphony of the Night? Yeah.
he's not a shopkeeper. He doesn't sell you things. He just lends you these books.
Oh, so he's
Right.
more literally a librarian than the actual librarian.
But he very clearly says to you that you cannot leave with this one particular cursed book. I need this back. If you try to beat the game without giving the book back to him, you trigger the boss battle.
Oh
Uh,
God.
and it's great because he behaves like Alucard, which is so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, he was the last boss battle that I hadn't done
Does he
because I
only
did.
ever move by backstepping?
Oh, he just
Because
he
his
goes
forward
around
walk
and he
is
throws
slow.
he throws a lot of holy water, that kind of thing, or
Nice.
something similar to holy water. It's a fun boss battle. But yeah, I honestly can say that here's the thing with greatness is that like if you were going to say that like in steps in iteration something is better than the last, it's absolutely the case with this game. Like so if you were to not count that Symphony of the Night was a trailblazer and has all kinds of legacy behind it, this one would be the game to replace it in terms of that. Like it just has all of the fun things that he added leading up to this, with the work he did on the GBA games and the DS games, and then like brought it all together to be kind of a tribute of his old titles and then more. It is like one of my favorite games in that respect, but it is a derivative work essentially. It wasn't a trailblazer.
Well,
So
it's a callback, but it's also an evolutionary work. It's like,
exactly.
I mean, like, how many times do I do this per podcast? I know it gets annoying, but it's like the FromSoft games where,
Sure.
like, mainly the Kingsfield games, the Armored Core games, I assume, and the Souls games, where each next entry in the series is like,
Better and better and better.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they're trying to make the same game over and over again, like improving it a little bit each time. Like, what would have been cool if Kingsfield were more open world? Let's do that next time. It
And
would
they
have been cool if it were
finally
still open world and less jank. Let's do
they
that next
finally
time.
almost hit it with Demon Souls when they got to that, and then when they got to
Well, no,
Dark
no,
Souls, they knew
even
what they were
just.
doing.
Well, I was gonna say even just the Souls games. Like each Souls game tries to be the definitive Souls game.
Sure.
Like Dark Souls 3 is what Dark Souls 1 should have been. Dark Souls 1 is what
Exactly.
Demon Souls should have been. Et cetera, et cetera.
But the trailblazing title's the one that gets all the credit, right? So because
Well,
that
Dark Souls
Dark
kind of
Souls gets
does,
the
but it's
credit,
really
yeah.
Demon Souls was a trailblazer. But nobody,
Yeah.
it was PS3 only.
But Dark Souls brought that connected world to it. Whereas
Yes, Demon Souls was clearly divided into levels.
yeah,
Which world will you go into? Yeah, like
exactly.
there's a very
There's something
literal
to that.
hub.
There's
Yeah.
something to that Metroidvania, you know, structure that's just so good. But yeah, Bloodstained. I'm gonna go right out and say, even though that it is not a Castlevania game, it is a
I
Castlevania
mean, yeah,
game in
it
everything.
is.
But
It's a Castlevania game that they're legally not allowed to call Castlevania.
yeah, it's a celebration of the Castlevania series. If you know what to look for, um, I absolutely recommend playing this game. If you're gonna play anything, play this game as and its spin-off titles, because you don't have to deal with any of the um, baggage that comes with a really long series. You know, which one do I start with? That kind of thing, which was a great one to start with.
But how will I know who Alucard is? I clearly have to play all the Castlevania games before playing Bloodstained.
Honestly, if you're gonna play a few titles of all the ones that we've talked about during this whole retrospective, I'm gonna say that the best ones are going to be Dracula X Rondo of Blood, um, uh, Symphony of the Night, and this one. I think they're the absolute best ones. And all the rest of them are great. You've heard me talk about them. I mean, and there's also Castlevania 3 is also very very high up there. So if I had to name a fourth one, that would be it. But most of the games are great. They're absolutely really good. But and especially the DS games that don't get enough credit these days. But Bloodstained is just so good. It takes all of those ideas from the GBA and DS games and just takes it one step further. It is, and it's a game that's still being worked on. Like they keep adding like features to it to make the Kickstarter backers happy and all that.
Yeah, that's
I
why I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Zangetsu mode has even been added to it yet. Which I can't wait for that because David Hayter's voice acting is so much fun. He just sounds like Solid Snake and it looks like him. It's really funny, but he's a samurai. It's great. But any final thoughts on the Castlevania franchise or Bloodstained while we're at it, Lotus?
Yeah, my top three games would all be the new pachinko machine in Japan.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Pachinko.
I say new; it's a few years old.
I did catch an LP of me playing the slot machine in Atlantic City when I saw it. I got some money off of it, which I was happy with. I think it has its own like unique Belmont in it too. Like it
Huh.
has like unique characters. But of course, that stuff doesn't matter. There's like, what is it, erotic violence?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
was trying to
erotic
remember what it was
violence
called,
game.
like sexy something or
It's
whatever. But I think
erotic
you're
violence.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a pachinko game that Konami decided to make after stopping making video games.
Yeah,
I
it's all about gambling and Yu-Gi-Oh now,
yeah, I mean
and
they come out
re-releasing
with
20-year-old games.
so few new titles. I mean, they have their Pro Evolution Soccer series, which they still iterate on. Yes, Skeletak, which is a random game that they put out, and then you have like what Metal Gear Survive, a few.
Yeah, everyone loved that one, and
Yeah, jeez.
Contra Rogue Core.
Oh, Rogue Core, I forgot about Rogue Core. Yeah, which I'm like the only fan of. Yeah, I mean, again, that they cannibalize their audience trying to seek out a new audience, and it all backfired. It's like one of those things.
Yeah,
So
let's alienate all the creators of our favorite series, and then see what happens when we try to make an entry in that series.
yeah. Ugh. So overall, a fantastic series. Just a fun one to discuss and look back on, and talk about like how it's evolved over time. And it's also good to talk about some of those titles that don't get a whole lot of love, like Harmony of Despair. Is one that like I saw people on Twitter talking about it like the other day, and they're like, this was a title that a lot of people missed that I'm playing right now, and it's a lot of fun like in that kind of context. So like everybody else was chiming in like saying that they liked it. So it was one of those things. So, having said that, I think we'll open up for fan stuff.
Why, sure. So we have a couple comments from School Filmer, who says, looking forward to Age of Calamity, that Hyrule Warriors game coming
Oh
out for the
yeah,
Switch.
sure.
I've managed to 100% the 3DS version of Hyrule Warriors, and I have the Switch version too. Now the birthday's come and gone, and I got Snack World, the Dungeon Crawl Gold. That game has a lot of puns, quite a few references. It makes fun of itself at some point, and has a few references to Layton, and some things that make me wonder if the Peggy people, because the Peggy is like European ESRB,
It's
makes
so
me wonder
funny
if
that they call it Peggy. It's such a
yeah,
English way to say
it
that.
makes you wondering if the Peggy people were still asleep when they gave this a 7 rating. I have completed the main story and going full tilt into the post-story content. And then the other comment was a thing that I want localized. Maybe Yokai Sangokushi on the 3DS, although it's way too late for that now. Still, a tactical RPG with Yokai Watch characters. I think Oda Nobunaga and Tenko are in there too, if I recall. Surprising twist on the formula.
You
Yeah,
know
it's like
what?
Pokemon. Pokemon also had fucking Nobunaga. It's weird.
Let me add the second Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon game was like the only Etrian Odyssey game that we never got localized.
Huh.
It's a shame that that one never came out.
And then Dracologist comes in and says that Prince of Persia was made by Jordan Mechner, and Another World, Eric Chachi, so they have different creators.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I guess Prince of Persia was American, wasn't it? And Another World was like European?
French, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Living Corpse had a couple comments. Super Sentai is one of those things that's both the name of a franchise and like a type of genre, like cyberpunk.
Gotcha.
And then the other comments, I learned a few days ago, quantum internet is a thing. What a time to be alive. Imagine that.
We're not getting that in America anytime soon, I can tell you that.
No shit. Yeah, we'll need infrastructure to support our own internet that we have right now. And as for the question, School Filmer asks, what are the best deals you've gotten on a video game or other media? Freebies do not count, sorry. As for me, I got Ninjin, Clash of Carrots. Haha, because Ninjin is Japanese for carrot. As well as Thief Simulator for 90% off. Cat Quest for 80%. Puyo Puyo Tetris for half off. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for 67% off. Quite nice, eh?
Wow.
That's pretty sexy.
I'm gonna go with remember that it was a Game Zombie that we used to go to.
Oh, I know exactly what you're gonna mention. Yeah.
So I bought a game called Exile Wicked. It's Exile 2 for the PC Engine and or TurboGrafx CD. And the guy there accidentally sold it to me under the price of the original game. The second game is much rarer, and it was complete.
And you got another good deal there too.
I also got a disc-only copy of Earthworm Jim Special Edition, which is worth over $100 disc-only, I think, right now. Which is what I got.
Because they couldn't find they couldn't find the title on eBay or something because it was called something slightly different, even though it's just Earthworm Jim on the Sega CD.
Yeah, so I think he sold it to me for something like $10, and I think it's worth well over $100 now in the state I have it.
Yeah, and speaking of $10, at that same place, I got a sealed copy of the PC CD-ROM release of Raptor: Call of the Shadows.
Oh yeah.
For $10
Apogee game, right?
PC, who gives a shit? Yeah. I have. That's like the one shooter in the world that I have a history with and very much enjoy.
Let me see here.
I got a few for sure, but if you can think of something, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So this wasn't a deal when it happened, but I'm glad that I got it.
I've got a few of those.
Yeah. So, the first game that I ever bought on eBay, and I did it with the help of a friend who had more experience with eBay because I came from a house that didn't use the internet a whole lot. We had it, but we were stuck on a 14.4K modem when most people had moved on to cable. When I went to college, I had a friend help me buy this, but I ended up buying Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Saturn.
That's unreal.
For $100, which was a lot of money for me at the time, because I was a college student. But it is worth way more than that now. It's probably worth close to $1,000 now. I think
It's
in the state
pushing
that I
that,
have
yeah.
it. And it's a complete copy, and it's like it's an immaculate condition. It's really, really good. And the last one I'm going to mention, I have plenty of deals that I've gotten over the years, just because
Yeah.
of the amount of collecting I've done. But I bought off of somebody on the digital press forums, just a private deal. I asked if anybody was selling Snatcher for the Sega CD around the same time as this, actually, maybe a year or two later, because we ended up playing it when we were still in college, so it was right around this time period. And the guy was like, I'm done with it. I'll sell it to you for $75, which was a lot of money for a Sega CD game at the time. That game is pushing $1,000. We checked that, right?
I forgot what it was, but it's like wildly expensive.
And this is a complete copy of the game as well. It's certainly worth my purchase. It is worth way more than $75 now.
Yeah, like I got a bunch of things I could
on.
mention that weren't deals, but were low prices then and high price now. Like I got Rule of Rose at the store for $25. I got Kuon for $12.
Yeah, Kuon really exploded.
Kuon's worth more than Rule of Rose now.
Yeah, Kuon's one of those. Might be the game that's worth the most on the PS2.
It's up there. I also got an English copy of Michigan Report from Hell for. I can't look it up anymore because eBay doesn't let you go back past like 3 or 4 years, but like probably $40 or $50.
Yeah, we got copies. We both got copies of that around the same time, right?
Yeah, well, we both got like an Italian copy or a Spanish copy around the same time, but I later sold my Spanish copy or Italian, whatever I had, and I got an English copy. But
all of them have the same languages on it, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, when I say English copy, I mean like the box and manual are English. But okay, at garage sales, I got Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 for $1 each. At a different garage sale, I got Power Stone 1 and 2 and Police Nuts for $1 each.
Good stuff.
I got the PS1 game, City of Lost Children. I think it's based on the movie.
Sure, that game's worth a lot too.
Yeah, I got it at a convention for $40, but even at the time, it was worth like $120. I don't think the dealer like knew what they had. And at this point, you could see it selling for various prices on eBay, but I can only find one entry for it that's like NTSC. Like the only stuff I see otherwise are like Big Box DOS, which I didn't realize was a thing, and PAL PS1. I got Snatcher. I paid way more than you did, but this actually was a deal. It's missing the paper insert, but it does have the manual. Game Zombie, again, they were having some financial trouble, so they were taking like their most expensive titles, like Cotton and Snatcher, and they were giving deals on them. So Snatcher was $300. They marked it down to $200, and that was a lot. But like, I also convinced myself that like, I'm not going to get a better deal than this. Like, it's this or don't get it. So I went in. I got Kingsfield's, the long box PS1 game for $4 because nobody gave a shit back then.
Yeah, nobody did.
This is kind of a funny one.
It was a game of ridicule for a really long time.
Yeah, and even now, people are like, oh, old FromSoft, and then they try playing for 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm only going to mention 2 other things. One of them you were involved with. First, I'll mention the art book for Folklore, because I don't think a lot of people knew that this existed at all, because only 250 were made.
Wow.
It was a promotional item that if you completed the demo on PS3, which nobody did, because this was a launch title and we weren't used to digital demos. So if you're one of those people who completed the demo and sent that information to the devs, you had a chance of getting this promotional art book. And I picked it up at Next Level, actually.
Oh, cool.
For $10 because it was just like,
nobody
it's an art book.
Nobody cared about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit on the shelf because it's really long. It's like a long rectangle. It's an obnoxious shape. So it's like at the time I didn't know its significance. I was like, oh, I have that game. I might as well pick up the art book because I like doing that. And like, I don't know if it's overly valuable or not, but like, you're not gonna find it anytime soon. And the last thing I'll mention, this is the one you were involved with, because School Filmer said game or other media. Other media, this is where we do gangbusters, because you got this 3 times. One for you, one for me, and one for Luminaire.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The JoJo's Bizarre Adventure OVAs from the 2000s,
We
the
bought
early
it
mid
from Right
2000s.
Stuff at just the right time, man.
Yeah, you bought it like officially, like from the store at MSRP, but like they had a discount. It was a 50% discount. It was normally $120, which, by the way, disc 6 alone is like $100 now. It was like $120, 50% off. So you were like, oh, you've recently gotten into JoJo ever since you saw the Capcom fighter footage and downloaded fan subs of the anime. Would you
Yeah,
like to actually own the anime?
we were OG JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
Yeah,
fans.
like I wasn't a hardcore fan, but I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I was just getting into it, and I think we had seen the series or at least parts of it.
Sure.
And you were like, so
enjoyed
you
it.
want me to you want me to pick up a copy for you as well? Yeah, okay. So like you, me, and Luminaire each own the box set, like with the box the discs go in. I have never seen that for sale, like ever. I've seen like certain discs sometimes. Disc 4 and 5. Good luck finding those. But I have like, this is one of those things. Oh,
It's not streaming
I've seen,
anywhere either.
it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where like I've seen at some point in my life discs 4 and 5 for sale. It got to the point where they were very expensive. I have literally never ever in my life seen the box set for sale anywhere, like with the box, outside of like the one time you bought it from the store. And it's so funny, by the way. It's so nostalgic where like there's like a little slip of paper, like a little ad in there for like the upcoming like volume 1 of Death Note. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my, like,
That was
wow, dude.
That was
Like,
before anybody
Look
was
into the
Death
JoJo
Note.
manga as well. Like, oh, maybe I will, and I never did. And like, now I do.
That was
now
when
they got
Viz
the
was translating like the volume 3.
yeah,
Part
well,
3.
part
I mean,
3.
Part
yeah,
3.
yeah.
And they did.
I mean,
they
now you can
barely
get the
finished
manga.
that. They barely.
I don't even
finished
know if
it
they
at
did
the time.
finish it.
They barely.
But yeah, like now,
No,
now
they-
you can
they
get the
did.
manga. They did, but now you can get the manga more easily in those like hardcovers. It looks all
Oh, those
sexy, but
hardcovers
like,
are way better. Yeah.
but those DVDs are never getting reprinted. Like, it will not happen.
Yeah.
In fact, it killed the company. This is their one and only project, which is a shame because it's a very
it's
like
high quality. It's very high quality.
So yeah, the JoJo OVAs like 50% deal of MSRP. Like, that's fucking bananas. So
Yeah.
that's also quite a good deal.
I will mention one more thing just because it happened recently.
Yeah.
We were at MagFest, the last MagFest to happen, as of right now.
Yeah.
And we went to a place that was selling good games for bro prices. Remember that? And
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, like out of a binder.
yeah, and out of all the
You did get a good deal.
OG games, like all the great games of the PS1 that I own, I actually never had owned Valkyrie Profile. Because
Yeah.
it's always kind of been expensive. Even back around when it happened, it wasn't in high supply. So finding a complete copy of Valkyrie Profile isn't always the easiest thing, even back then. But yeah, I ended up picking up Valkyrie Profile for $100, and I think it's worth a lot more than that now.
I think you might have even spent like 90 on that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think you're right. And it was certainly a bro price at the time, but the interest in Valkyrie Profile has gone up because of Indivisible and a few other things.
Yeah, because Indivisible plays similarly.
Yeah. It clearly takes its inspiration from it. So, I think it's well worth over $100 now, and I'm quite happy about that, especially considering that you can't get any version of Valkyrie Profile very easily. I mean, there's except for the iOS version, and nobody wants to play that. It's
right.
Even the PSP version is no longer one that you could download for the.
Yeah, that's obnoxious.
Yeah, it's one of those UMD only games. And,
Yep.
And fans of the game consider the PS1 version to be better than the PSP one that later came out anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those games that didn't quite get better when they remastered it. So.
Yeah. And actually, I will mention a couple more things.
Yeah, go for it.
One, I got off a Twitter deal.
Oh,
This was another case where somebody was like, like I need
like
to work
when
up
I
a little
got
money
Windjammers.
for like, yeah, actually, yeah, you got a pretty good deal on Windjammers. But yeah, somebody needed to like get a little more money for like the upcoming rent. They're like, I'm selling some of my games, whatever. So I got both Super Nintendo Final Fantasy 3. So what is
Oh, yeah.
really Final Fantasy 6?
There you go.
It was missing the map, but otherwise had everything for like I forgot what I paid. It was like $60 or $70 or something, which wasn't bad.
Good purchase. Yeah.
And I also got Pop Full Mail and that was
Oh,
complete for like 120, which
that
was like around half of what it was going for at the time. And the
it's
only
worth a
other
lot
thing,
more than that now. A lot
yeah,
more.
it's gone
More
up
than
by
that.
this point, yeah. But even at the
Probably,
time, that was a 50% deal.
I think as far as rare Sega CD games
Yeah, Pop Full
go,
Mail is like top 3 or 4.
yeah, I was gonna say you have
It's like Snatcher,
Snatcher,
Pop Full Mail, Cobra, like his adventure, space adventure.
Cobra, and then KO Flying Squadron's the other big one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last thing I'll mention, it's proportionately a deal. I got Suikoden 2 from GameStop's website. Like, who the hell sold Suikoden 2 to
Exactly.
GameStop within the past few years,
Yeah.
right? And I it actually was complete, which is fucking
Oh,
insane.
so
Like,
good.
because when you buy an older game off of GameStop, well, actually, no, it's not even true. When you buy any game, unless it's new, when you buy a game
They
off of
don't promise
GameStop's
you.
website,
Yeah.
you don't know whether it has the
What condition?
case, the manual, like maybe. So I got exceedingly lucky. The funny thing about that was that when I opened it, I was like, I hope it has the manual or something. I couldn't believe it had everything, but you know what it didn't have?
What didn't have?
Literally the one thing that you were guaranteed to get, which is the game disc itself.
It didn't come with the game disc.
It didn't come with the game disc. I got everything but the game disc. So I had to go through a little rigmarole because I had contacted GameStop about this, and I was like, I would like the game, please. And they were like, okay, well, clearly there was a problem with the order then. What would you rather do? Would you rather outright return it and get your money back? Or would you rather, like, wait for us to send it to you if we have it? And I was like, wait, please. Because if they had it in their inventory,
Sure.
I assume they have it lying around. So I contacted this one group on Discord that I was part of because they were like, okay, well, we can do that. Send us back the stuff you got in the mail as like proof of purchase, so we don't send you like a double,
Sure.
and then we'll put all the shit together. Well, they didn't even say we'll put all the shit together. They just said, send us back your shit. We'll send you the game. I asked people on Discord about this, and they were like, for God's sake, do not do that, because that stuff will be gone forever. So what I did, and by the way, it turns out that was true. Like, shipping and receiving apparently do not talk to each other. So what I
So
did was
dumb.
I removed the insert, I removed the manual, so I have just an empty PS1 game case,
That's smart.
and I Googled the cover art and even the insert art of Suikoden 2 and printed it out and slipped it into the
That's
case.
very smart.
And it looked convincing enough, and they don't fucking care
No,
anyway.
no, they don't give a shit.
Technically, you're really not supposed to be doing that, but like, I paid for the fucking game, dude. And so I mailed it to them, and a few days later, yeah, I got the game. And how did it arrive? In one of those little paper slipcases. I would
So
have
they
lost my
took your
shit.
case.
I,
Wow.
I would have lost my shit. Discord was correct. So now I have the manual, I have the insert, I have the disc.
Good for
I just don't
you.
have a case. So I went to a retro game store. I bought some cheapo PS1 game
There
for
you
the
go.
case, and I live happily ever after. So I got Suikoden 2 for like around $80 when at the time it was going for
Over 200.
closer to like 120, and now it's
Yeah.
more because now that COVID's around, everything has what people are calling like the COVID tax.
Yeah, because people are
Games are just way more expensive now because
Yeah.
what else are you
they're
doing at
bored.
home?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, like so I actually managed to get, say what you will about GameStop's shitty trade-in prices, but their retro game sale prices are not bad. Like the JoJo PS1 game is like $55. They never have it in stock and they never will. But if they did, it would be $55 when it's like
Pretty good.
hundreds on
Yeah.
eBay.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, Suikoden 2 for 80 is like not unreasonable at all.
That's awesome. That's a
Yeah.
great deal right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered that. Even if you have some other great deals of your own, I would like to hear about that.
Yeah, please do. These stories are great.
Yeah, I love hearing about this kind of stuff. I we could even have a whole episode about it, probably, that kind of stuff.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to be the show for this week. I really want to thank everybody for sticking around through our retrospective of the Castlevania series
Absolutely,
and
yes.
the Igavania kind of stuff. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions and comments. You guys are, as always, really good at keeping up with that. Please keep
these questions have been wonderful.
Yeah,
like,
very
thank you
good.
very much for the submissions. I will mention, we only have one question left, so if anybody has anything that they were just curious about, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, please keep us updated and supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud page as well. There, please give us thumbs up, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube account, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like the aforementioned on Tuesday, Alan Wake, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play.
I can't wait to play that. I can't wait to play Alan Wake.
But in any case, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, which includes Alan Wake itself, or get in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Lovely. We'll catch everybody next week then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.